what's legal and what's not legal in Jiu-Jitsu competition. First of all, I want to say thank you to Oscar on the Trujitsu YouTube page. He's the one that brought the question up, and it's a very good question to bring up because a lot of times people go into tournaments not understanding rules. To give you the easiest answer and the most honest answer, what's legal in competition? It just depends. It depends on what event it is. The reason why is because there's so many tournaments, there's so many organizations, and people are making their own modifications to rules. If you go by the top of the pyramid, which is IBJJF, no pun intended, that standard, basically two particular subjects that you're going to deal with are you can't crank the neck, you can't turn the neck sideways, you can't twist the neck. That's one of the big rules. You can do chokes, but just no twisting the neck. Spine issues. The other one is involving leg locks. You're pretty much going to have limitations on what leg locks you can do. So up until brown belt, you're pretty much limited to straight ankle locks. So anything involving reaping or anything involving twisting, heel hooks, they're just simply a no-go. Most of the time you can't do those until you get to pro events. Now the reason why they have those rules is not because people are sissies, it's not because they're trying to be overprotective. It's simply because it's very easy for someone to get hurt with those moves. It doesn't take much effort. It's very easy to hurt someone from there. And unfortunately, the injuries, they could be lifelong injuries. So that's the reason why those rules are in place. 20 years ago, there was a lot more liberal tournaments when people didn't know much jiu-jitsu. And you were seeing white belts, people that were new, that were going into events that you could do heel hooks and you could do can openers. And what we saw a decline in a lot of people competing because they simply were concerned about getting hurt and they didn't know what they were getting into. So in respect to IBJJF, they've mastered a way of figuring stuff out, and there's a lot of thought that goes into it. Some people maybe don't want me to say that, but that is the honest truth. So it's safety, and that's probably the reason why there's a lot of events from IBJJF all over the place, because people are able to go to the event and not get hurt. Now, the other big subject is reaping. So reaping is something that sometimes it's very simple. It's a matter of bringing your leg across your opponent's body. So the midline. So if you have, for example, in my case, if I had my opponent's left leg on my right side and it was stuck and then I brought my right leg across, that's a no-no. That's one of the biggest ways of getting disqualified. Sometimes that's confusing. I'm going to have a demonstration shortly just so that way, some people can get a better grasp of that. It seems real simple, but in the process of a fast-paced match and things are going, different directions, every once in a while people will make a mistake, even ones that were very knowledgeable. I saw 2 disqualifications at the last tournament, and it was involving reaping. If you do an ankle lock, you need to turn outside, not in, because it basically bends the knee. So when it comes right down to it, to be on the safe side, whatever tournament you go into, look at the rules. People are making their own modifications to try to appeal to people's interests, but safety is pretty much the big primary concern for the major events. All right, so if you need a demonstration on reaping, well, here you go. Thank you. Okay, we were talking about legal versus illegal leg locks, so I'm going to just go over one of the things that tends to confuse people. And those of you that know everything about jiu-jitsu, I understand some people, this might be simple, but I think in the course of a fast-paced match, this is where a lot of the confusion comes in. So I have my opponent's leg here. This is Professor, right? I'm going to turn my back this way. So go ahead and just pop your leg up. Can you pop the other leg up so you can see better? All right, so if I'm here, and then all of a sudden, what happens from this point, this is about the stopping point. If I knock my opponent back, go ahead and come back, and then I bring the leg this way, this is a problem, all right? Because what's happened is my right leg has gone across, and the fact that Freddie's leg is stuck on this side, it turns the knee in. So this is what they're looking for. This is as far as you should go. Anything past the midline of the chest, that's where it's gonna start putting a lot of pressure on your opponent's knee. And the truth of the matter is that there's a lot of ways to attack from here. So some people complain and they want there to be reaping, but the reason why this shouldn't be done is because it's very easy to hurt someone's knee. If you hurt their arm, they can tape it up. If you hurt their leg, well, that pretty much limits a lot of things you can do in life. And it's really easy to hurt someone's leg here. So another scenario too that oftentimes will confuse people, go ahead and straighten this leg out. If there's an exchange here, and then all of a sudden the person does this. So, now look, my leg is across the body, but this isn't a big issue. This isn't gonna cause a problem. This isn't gonna make someone get disqualified. The reason being is because the leg isn't on this side. If the leg is here, and it goes across, then this is putting torque on the knee. But if it's here, so you'll see people do this, and they'll even hook. And then you'll think, man, this should be a disqualification. The truth of the matter is it isn't though, because the leg is not stuck on this side. So for those of you that are wondering about leg reaping, this is probably the most common thing that throws people off. If the leg is free, it's okay. If it's on this side, it's not, okay?